All right, welcome to another episode of Investing with Quito. I've got my co-host here, Jeremy. Jeremy, how are you today?
Hey, good morning. Good. I'm great because it's sunny out and warm, and I just love that kind of weather. So I'm happy.
Yeah, it's great. I love, the warm weather. Of course, living in Montana, my wife always complains. We've been here for 3 years now. She still hates the winter. But so when it starts to get warm, she's liking it more, so which is nice. And plus we get to do more things outside. So
Oh, funny thing about Montana, right? Is like it can be negative temperatures in
hmm
the winter, and it can be over 100 degrees a couple days in a row. So it's
yeah.
like it shouldn't be that hot in some place like this, where like you get so much
Yes.
cold weather and then you get this. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
But
it's
Montana is
crazy.
beautiful, right?
It's just crazy. But yeah, you gotta love. I mean, I love Montana. It's a great state. So those of you guys listening, hey, you know what? Montana, big state. There's plenty of room. So
No, there's not. No.
yeah, I know. I saw this license like bumper sticker. It says like, like welcome to Montana. Now leave.
Yeah,
It's kind
we're
of
so
funny.
full. Like, just go to Wyoming or North Dakota, right? Go there
Yeah.
instead.
But but it's cool. We all love it. Anyone wants to come in. There's plenty of room, you guys. Yeah, so
Yeah.
speaking of room, so what are you working on this week? What's on your plate?
Well, I thought it'd be cool to talk about two things and kind of give two different analysis. One would be a rental property, right? That you look at and like, here's kind of the details, the options you can
Hmm
do, how you get it. And then here's an opportunity because I'm in business buying. So one of our first things we invested in was a business. And there's another idea of like, here's another analysis if you bought a cleaning company or cleaning business.
Okay.
So that's kind of the two options we have today. So let me pull the first one up. Do you want to do business or rental, Keto?
Let's start with the rental and then
Okay.
we'll transfer to your area of expertise of business. So
Okay. Well, great. So here's kind of the deal, right? So here's a trailer home.
Mhm.
It's newly rehabbed inside. And so the owner did a lot of good work doing it all herself, and she owns three of them in the park. And it's a pretty decent park, but it has high lot rent. I think that's kind of the biggest downside to this one.
Mhm.
But a higher lot rent means more amenities, more things like that, um, and a nicer place. So the deal is 50,000 for the trailer.
Mhm.
It's a three bedroom, one bath, newly updated trailer. And the seller wants 10 grand down, so 20%,
Mhm.
and will do payments at 3% over 7 years to the seller.
Mhm.
So
So does that
it's
payment
a
come
pretty
out to be?
the payment comes out to be to the seller 528 per month.
Okay, 528 a month. All
Okay.
right.
And then your lot rent is about 800 bucks, right? So your total expense is about 1355. Okay.
1355. Okay,
Total
got it.
expenses.
All right, 13.
And you could totally rent that out for about 1600,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you maybe go higher if you wanted to, depending on the market or what you got. But
Mm-hmm.
it's about you can get 1600 out of it all day long. Like you think that's a pretty good
Yeah,
like
yeah. I mean,
rent,
for three bedroom, like 1600, should be no problem.
no problem. So then, so kind of the numbers you look at is a cash on cash return, right? And
Mm-hmm.
your goal is about 30%,
Yep.
right? So on this one, if you put 10 grand down and you have
Mm-hmm.
your payments, you're about 24% cash on cash return, which
Mm-hmm.
is pretty decent. Not quite your number, but a little
Yeah.
higher than 20.
Mm-hmm.
And your monthly cash flow is about 240,
Okay. 240 a month.
right?
Okay.
240 a month. And if you sell it off and you pay that off in 7 years, then it jumps up to about uh, almost $1,000 a month with like the
Mm-hmm.
current rates going up and whatever you have for the lot. Like the lot fee can go up too, but roughly
Mm-hmm.
around like $1,000 a month,
Okay.
right?
So
In about
like
7 years once
3x.
it's paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
So
that's decent. I mean, 24%, even though, my criteria is 30, you're not quite there at 30, but if it works for you, right? I mean,
mhm,
because the bottom line is as long as you're not buying into something that's going to be a negative, right? That's going to eat you up,
right.
right? And it sounds to me, I mean, if this is, based on conversation, fully remodeled, she gutted it out and, everything looks like brand new. Um, I mean, you wouldn't have to really worry about any, maintenance and things like that because it's well taken care of. And another thing too is, obviously there's one strategy where you just straight rent it out. Cool,
Hmm.
right?
So that's
Or
one strategy, right?
yeah,
Long-term rental.
yeah, one strategy for long-term rental. So right off the bat, if it makes sense as a long-term rental, the great thing about this is that if you add other strategies, then it really kind of boosts your return, right? Like for example, let's say that you did a lease option, right?
Hmm.
Maybe sell it to a tenant buyer, and then obviously you have your 10%. But what if you said, hey, I'll lease the option out for someone at, have them put $15,000 down, right? Which is about what, 30% or something like that
Hmm.
of, it
Yeah.
depends on what you sell it for. Say you got it for 50, do a lease option at a price of 85,000, right? Or 90, whatever, because I think you mentioned me in that lot, you probably sell like in the hundreds or something like that.
A
But I
lot
don't
of them
know.
go for around 100. Then the other ones around that are for sale by agents are about over 100, $150,000,
Okay.
right? So it can be higher.
Yeah, it could be
Hmm.
higher. So you bought it for 50. You could turn around, either lease out for 100 or nine, whatever that number is, right? So now you're gonna like double your money, let's say. Say you sell for 100, now it's gonna be like double your money, right?
Hmm.
And then in the short term, you're also gonna get your initial investment back, which is your 10 grand.
Hmm.
Plus you get
Hmm.
an extra, say 5 grand, will be considered 5 grand, right? Because I think it's
Hmm.
easier to get people to put like $15,000 down versus like 30 or 40,000, right? So
Hmm.
so they put
Hmm.
that 15. So now you're plus five 5,000. I mean $5,000, right? And then obviously the payment, if you're paying 1355, right? Maybe instead of getting 1,600, well, now if someone knows that they're actually going to be paying for a place, they're willing to pay 1,800, maybe
Hmm.
1,700. So your cash flow is going to be even more. So you double your
Hmm.
money from the purchase price. Plus you jump from 24% to almost about 50%, actually, more than 50% cash on cash, right?
Yeah, because you're in it for over 100% cash on cash return because I
Yeah,
get all my
yeah,
money back plus
yeah.
an
Plus
extra.
an extra five, so you're at 150% cash on cash,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Plus
So
no maintenance, right? If
yeah,
the seller is
plus
renting to own, no maintenance.
exactly. Plus no maintenance, so you don't have to worry about that, right? So just by taking a piece of real estate that cash flows on a standard long-term rental, right, at 24%, now you're gonna bump it up by just doing a lease option, right? So, or getting
Hmm.
somebody to
Hmm.
to to buy it from you, then you're getting a really good cash on cash return. Um,
Hmm.
the only thing is obviously, how you find that buyer, you have a period of holding costs, whether it be a month or 2 months of holding costs that you have to calculate for. So, but
Hmm.
you'll make that up when you get somebody in there. So, I mean,
Right.
I
Yeah.
think
Is it
overall
the rental
for,
the rental market in Billings is pretty hot, right? So like
yeah, it
people are
is.
looking for
It
places.
is.
There's
I
waiting
don't
lists for
think
places.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you have a hard time because me personally, I mean, I'm getting calls every week, like, hey, do you have rents? I mean, even I got a call yesterday, like, actually two calls yesterday. One from a previous tenant, that moved out. Say, hey, do you have anything available? And then another call, like, do you have anything available? It's like, so you're right. I mean, right now in Billings, the rental market is good, so you could absolutely capitalize. And so I wouldn't worry too much about it, about not finding a tenant, because I mean, it's hot market for landlords right now. So
Hmm. Yeah, and selling and buying still pretty inaffordable, right?
yeah,
With
yeah. And I think because I mean your entry fee, I mean 10 grand, I mean, it's not that bad. So you might be able to do a little negotiating, but if she's stuck at 10 grand, it still makes sense, right?
hmm.
But if
Yeah,
you're
it
to
still makes sense.
Yeah, but if you're able to, maybe have her drop down to 8,000, now it's even better on cash, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
totally, totally makes sense. I mean, it's a solid deal for the long term, right?
Right.
Um, and who knows, you might even be able to flip it to somebody.
Could. Hmm.
Yeah,
Potentially in the future, right? It's always an
yeah,
option, right?
yeah,
Once you have it, right, you can do a lot of things with it.
yeah, yeah. Once you get it under your control, you know. Because I know she wants to sell it outright, right? She wants to sell outright.
Hmm.
She
Wants
doesn't
to
want to.
sell it. She wants to be done with it. She's a exhausted landlord, right?
That's it,
We
right? Okay.
talked to her last night. She's like she does property management. She's like I don't want to do it as my hobby, all as my job. So
Hmm.
she's pretty burnt out on like managing her own stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. So that makes sense. And yeah, I mean it's a solid long-term deal. I mean, I don't foresee it, going bad, right? I mean, it's, obviously
Hmm.
there's risk in anything that you
The only thing
do.
to look out for, I think, is the right. The only thing I think to look out for is the HOA, see if they let in rentals,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
that's the call I'm making
Yep.
next,
And
right?
then
Is like
also
calling the
too,
HOA and see like, hey, do
I
you
would,
allow this?
yeah, another thing too about the HOA too is check to see if they required a pitch roof, right?
Okay.
Because if it's currently has, because most like the older models, obviously they don't have a pitch roof, but a lot of the new ones, have a pitch roof on it. So check to see if the HOA is requiring you to put one of those on. So right
Okay.
now they may say,
That's
well,
a good tip.
because you've already in there, because if the owners bought it before they changed the rules, then they might be okay. But if there's once it transfers ownership, right? Now the new owner has to put a pitch roof on now. So
Hmm.
check
Hmm.
on that. So that it could be a gotcha, something that you're not expecting.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't thought about that. I've heard Pace say before, it's like sellers are liars or buyers are liars and
Sellers
sellers
are
are
worse.
worse. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would check for is, see if there's a pitch roof requirement.
Okay. Or
So,
anything else like for internal requirements.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. You just never know. But yeah, I mean, at $800 lot rent, um, it is high. I mean, it's but you know, he knows, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because I know like I have a mobile home little plot. I was and I rent that out for $500, you know,
Hmm.
and it works. So but yeah, but $800 obviously is more. But again, you're in a nicer part of town, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Yeah. That's a benefit. I think that part of town is really going up, even though there's still some
yeah,
crime
it
around,
is.
but it's
It
still,
is. It's growing. Things are growing out there. So, and they're adding, um, I think like 200 or 300 more slots in that development. So that could be
which is
why.
wild.
Yeah, and that could be why it's so high right now, because they're going to be doing, they're going to be adding more. So maybe that development will have a facelift or something.
I agree. Yeah, I think that'd be good. So, because well, like even if you get up to 1,700, right, instead of 16, then you're at 34% cash on cash return,
Hmm.
right, on the deal like this. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, long term, as long like I think you said, it's like as long as it checks out long term, like you can do a lot of things with it, right?
Yes. Hmm.
That's pretty exciting. So,
Yeah, so that's good. So now, I'm curious, how did you find the seller?
so it was actually from a real estate agent that I got a relationship with longer.
Hmm.
It's from Patty Beich, so we had her
Oh,
on
okay.
before, and
Okay.
she just called me about it. She's like, "Hey, this person called me. She wants to list it, but she's trying to sell it on her own. And so let's see if we make this work." And so I went and saw it. And this one's the one I looked at originally actually didn't work out for her, but she's like, well, I have two other more I'm trying to sell. So I was like, okay, great. You call me when you're looking at those things and looking to sell the other one. And so she called me when the other one was vacant and she's like, I'm going to redo it. This is what we're thinking. I'm like, great. I think that would work out. So
Hmm.
it was a relationship from another lead, right?
Okay. Nice. Nice. So you said she has two more. So after this one, she has one more that she needs to sell.
I think so, right? So
Mhm.
it's trying to build that relationship too of like, hey, you can trust me. I do this
Right.
well. When other
Absolutely.
things come up, you let me know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, like, for me, like moving forward, I'd like to get more stuff that is turnkey. Because as you know, I've been, I bought a lot of stuff that need tremendous amount of work. It is cash
Hmm.
intensive. So, and I'm trying to move away to getting stuff that is less rehab intensive. I don't mind doing cosmetic stuff, paint, flooring, stuff like that. But like the getting out stuff, like I'm done. I am done, you guys. At
Done
least
with
for
it.
now. Maybe if I see like a killer deal, I might change my mind. But right now, it's like, you know what? I am done. So, but yeah, okay. So that sounds like I mean, that's a solid plan. So,
Hmm.
you know,
We'll see how it works out. We'll see it. So that's one option of like a long-term rental, right?
hmm
So then if you jump spaces as an investor and you go into businesses, right, with things that are looking to do the same thing, the numbers get pretty awesome, but pretty higher and high return and higher work. But I think
right.
the numbers turn out pretty great. So here's a different analysis. So here's a cleaning company that I
hmm
have a basic offer accepted with. And the basis of the deal is that it wants $1 million for the cleaning
hmm
company, and she wants 15% down.
hmm
So that's $150,000
Right.
down.
150. Yep.
But she'll seller finance the rest of it at 4% for 7 years. So similar terms for the trailer, right?
Okay.
But the and this one's hard, right? Because you can't say like you get this much each month, right? It's a business, so you have
Right.
better months
Yeah.
than others and slower times than others. But over the last 3 years, your gross monthly income is about $78,300.
Okay. But
Okay.
78. Okay.
$78,300. And
hmm
after all your expenses, I mean, you have about $55,000 of expenses per month
hmm
on average. So that's employees. I think she has 20 cleaners. She
hmm
also has in there her own paycheck as the owner, as a CEO, which is
hmm
a six-figure paycheck. And there's other expenses like clean products, advertising, all the
Right.
things that go into running a business, right?
hmm
So on that one, even though the price tag's a lot higher, you still have a 90% cash on cash return,
Wow. That's
right? So
that's good.
you're like tripling your cash on cash return even with a higher down payment,
hmm
and you're cash flowing roughly about $11,600 a month
hmm
as your cash flow,
Cash flow.
right?
And
So
that's after
obviously
paying employees and paying a salary to the owner,
to myself, right? To the
yourself.
owner,
Right.
right?
And you
So
still
there's a
make
built-in salary already.
and you still make $11,000 a month. Wow. I mean that sounds
So
good. I'm curious, as you know, I've never bought in a business. That's why, you're the expert here. So how did it come up with the 7 years?
well, I asked for 10.
Okay.
Like, hey, how about 4% for 10? She's like, well, how about I'll keep the interest rates, but how about for 7 years? And then I want this much down,
hmm
right? So, um, and this is where it kind of gets with a business. I made a basic offer, right? So I said, hey,
hmm
here's a basic offer for X amount for this many years. And she's like, great, that sounds good to me if we can do this, the terms I just stated. So then now we're going to enter into a letter of intent,
hmm
right, for this business, which means that we enter more into a formal due diligence clause and period where I'm saying, okay, I'm going to check the numbers again. Like I'm going to come and check out the facility because it's in Bozeman. She already runs it remotely already with her team in place.
hmm
And she's going to be, she's franchised the business. So this means that she still owns the franchise. And
Okay.
when I buy this particular company, this Bozeman entity, she will
hmm
still be involved in the business pretty heavily because she'll be the franchise owner and operator.
hmm
So she still gets paid, right, from the business sale per month, and she gets
Right.
a franchise fee, right, from
Okay.
the businesses. And she's also heavily involved in making sure that this business still runs really well.
Right. That it
So I think that's a pretty
succeeds.
good relationship because then, right, so she wants me to succeed and I want to succeed and grow it. And she is spread too thin, right, with all these different franchises to actually operate this one. So she wants to be more of the overseer of the franchise
hmm
operator. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why she's wanting to sell. And
Okay.
uh, in this one, she's doing a little bit of marketing. She's got a lot of like things in place, but she's not doing a ton of marketing on social. She has a team that does cold leads and tries to close.
hmm
Um, And so she has a lot of leads coming in and she's closing pretty well. And she's doing a roughly around, I think with the numbers, a little under 1 million a year, right?
Hmm.
So the growth, the
Right.
revenue's there, and it's trying to just keep the cost down and then increase the leads and the close rate,
Right.
right? So that would be the opportunity build of like having things be more efficient. When we talk to Jake, who owns a cleaning business, like there's some things you can do in your processes that make things much more efficient, cost
Hmm.
less money. And then she's only working about 10 hours a week in it. So if you even double out the work in it, right, you would increase the output, right, with whatever's
Right.
going on. And me living in Billings, right, in Montana, Bozeman's like a day trip away, right? So it's
Hmm.
not too far.
Yeah.
And it's also a big market for cleaning, right? A lot of people are there, want their homes cleaned,
Hmm.
second homes, VRBOs. There's a lot of commercial places there that don't want to clean, like schools and hospitals.
Hmm.
Bozeman's a growing place, and the great thing also is that it's a super easy entry point, right? Because any stay-at-home mom can go and run a cleaning business, but
Hmm.
they don't answer the phone, or they don't have a lead generation, or they don't have recurring customers, right? It's just one-off things. So they don't
Right.
have the system in place to actually get the leads, recur the revenue, things like that. So there's some opportunity there to like increase revenue, increase the leads, increase the output. And all
Hmm.
the time while you're working on it, you still get a six-figure salary plus your cash flow, right? So
Right.
you reinvest, pay off the loan that you have
Hmm.
quicker. So then you have a lot less expenses and you have a lot more output.
Hmm. So, so with the loan payment, so obviously you're going to cash about $11,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does that loan payment come out to be at for
Uh,
what, like four
for
grand?
her, for her payment, it's about 11,600 a month.
Oh, $11,600 a month. And this is
Mm-hmm.
so this would come out of your your cash flow, right?
No, that's already taxed in.
Oh, so from the so
So
it goes.
even after all my expenses and payment to the seller, I'm still
Oh,
cash flowing 11,600.
oh, okay. Oh, okay. Wow. So that's even better. So that 11,000 includes the monthly payments to the seller at
Mm-hmm.
whatever to at eight. So you're paying down the $850,000 each
Mm-hmm.
month
To the seller over 7 years.
over
Yep.
7 years. Okay.
Yep.
So there's no balloon payment, right? After by 7 years be all paid off, or is
By
there?
7 years, you should be all paid off. Yep.
Okay.
So each month it's that payment,
It's
right?
that
And so,
payment, right? Okay. I mean,
which
that
pretty sweet.
sounds, yeah, I mean, numbers wise, right? Like I'm about in a business, but number wise, from a number standpoint, it's like that, that seems good to me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it
Mm-hmm.
seems pretty solid, right? So even if you had to borrow, so you had to borrow the 150,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
At 10% interest, you'll still cash flow,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Because I mean, so you go from $11,000 cash flow, even with if you borrow the 150, now you're down to say like, $9,500 a month. That's still a decent
Mm-hmm.
cash flow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Still decent cash flow. Plus, if you credit hack and do the way with credit cards at 0% interest for a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you can get your down payment with zero out-of-pocket expense,
Right.
right? And then you have 0% for at least a year. So within a year, you can still, be pretty trim, right? Save your
Mm-hmm.
money, and then pay that off within a year or pretty close to it. And then your debt's paid off, then you have all that cash flow still coming in. Plus you're growing the business, right? Plus
Right.
you're scaling
Yep.
it and expanding it,
Plus you're growing the business
right?
and the salary that was calculated for you to take, right? You could
Mm-hmm.
pump that back into paying down the debt too,
Right.
because you've already got income from your other businesses that you're running. So you
Right.
don't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
need the income from this particular business, right? So you
Right.
can take that salary, you could pump it back into paying the loan. So I mean, it's possible that you'd pay back that 150,000 in your first year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then you're in it for technically zero out of pocket,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
Or out of your own money. Plus, you recoup all of that from your salary and cash flow.
Yes.
Plus, you can scale a business that
Mm-hmm.
uh, the owner's doing well right now, but doesn't have the time to then scale it because she's
Right.
working on some other franchises,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's already running well. She's already stretched. She wants to move her time, so she needs someone else to come in and be a good operator, put in the
Mm-hmm.
systems, lead the company, grow it, right, and do that kind of thing. So
Right.
that's the kind of difference like the two options make. It's like you're still getting cash on cash return. You still have a
Mm-hmm.
long-term business. Your work is different, but it's a different, just like you said, like it's a different skill. Like you have different exit strategies. You can always, once you own the asset, you can do things with it and you can
Mm-hmm.
change what things look like.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like some people get intimidated by the entry cost. Like, oh man, you go from 10,000, right, to 15 times that as a down
Hmm.
payment, right? Like, whoa. But when you look at in
Hmm.
terms of the output, you go from making, $300 a month to making $11,000 a month. I mean, that's
Hmm.
a huge difference, right?
Right.
And
Plus,
obviously,
even, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and obviously, running a business is gonna take a lot more time, different skill set, right, than being a landlord, right? Where you
Right.
you get somebody in there, you screen them, get them in there, and just let them pay the monthly rent. Now you got to go in there. Now you're running a business, you're growing the business, right? And
Hmm.
obviously, you see the opportunity where you can grow the business with your skill sets. Like, oh, I can come in here, and I could probably, double the output, right? Like I could 2x it or 3x it, right?
That's
So,
the goal, right?
hmm
And the cool thing is about something like this, right? So say I got the trailer, right? And then it's just me managing it, running it, all that
hmm
kind of stuff. But with you buy this business, you have 20 employees to help you run it. So it's not just you, right? They
hmm
want to help, they want a paycheck, they want more work, they want to close leads, like they want the business to
right.
succeed. She already has a team in place that's not just you on your own. It's actually a team she's already put in place and vetted and knows the business really well. So you don't come in blind by yourself, tons of
Yes.
time sucking out, like you have a lot of work with you, right, to
hmm
come in and succeed.
Absolutely. And then being that it's a franchise, the franchisor, right? It has a vested interest in making sure that you succeed because you succeed,
Hmm.
she succeeds, right? So, like you said, you got a team of people that is behind you wanting to make sure that you do well. So,
Hmm. Which is pretty great, right? You can't. Our first business, we had no team. It's just me and my wife. And now this one, you actually have a team of people who've
yeah.
done it, been there, done that, like been there for a couple of years since she started, right? And
Mhm.
also, she's still in the business, so the relationships are still there with the people, right?
Right. So,
So,
awesome.
but it's a lot more work, right? So more work, but more payout, right?
Right. And then
So
that's the
instead of
thing.
one deal, right? Like this one deal of this business would equal, I don't know how many trailers. What's
Exactly,
11,000 divided
right?
by
It's probably
300,
equals
right?
like 20 trailers, yeah, or something like that. Yeah. So
Well,
that's awesome. That's awesome. And I just want to acknowledge you, um, Jeremy, for putting in the work and and really like refining your process. Because I know when you first bought your first business, you were really like you were green, right? Like I remember
super
you
green.
telling me about it, and just to watch you make that transition. I mean, now look at like your language and how you analyze things. So I just want to acknowledge you for putting in the work, putting in the time, and growing to you're gonna have an empire soon. So yeah, so great work. Continue to work, continue to do the work, and that's why I enjoy our conversations, with you. So thank you, and just want to
Well,
acknowledge
thank you,
who
man.
you are. So
Appreciate that. Yeah, because we started, we just had our first year anniversary of Monkey Around with the business.
hmm
And so like you said, I remember we came over one time, you brought me egg rolls, your signature egg rolls. And you're
uh-huh.
like, this place is pretty cool. Wow, good for you, man. And so it's been cool to like see it. You've seen it. So like it's really cool. It's like if I can encourage anyone else, it's like you just got to get into it. Like you always say, just take some kind of action. It's really scary. It's really intimidating. But it is worth it. And if you have the mindset to grow and to just put in the work, you really do like see it bear fruit later on. So it is a
Yeah.
long-term
Yeah,
goal.
it is. It is. I mean, and it's not an instant success. I mean, in any business, nothing is instant. You got to put in the
Mhm.
work, you got to put in the grind. And like you said, the fruit will show up, right? Just be patient, and surround yourself with people that are doing the things. Because I know like you listen to other people that own businesses, you belong to an organization that specializes in your type of business, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that's so important when you're starting out. Like surround yourself with people that are doing the things that you want to do, and that's how you're gonna learn, and that's how you're gonna learn quicker, right? And you have,
hmm
you
hmm
know, it's a it's a shortcut, right? So
Right.
you're taking
hmm
years of experience that someone has, you're compressing it because you're learning from them. So
hmm Yeah. Either there's two ways you can do that, right? One is by paying for it, right? So you can
mhm,
pay $1,000 a month to someone who's done it before and then get to where they are by paying that, which is worth it if you work it. Or two, like what we do is at meetups, right? And fun to
mhm,
get surrounded up with those kind of people. Tiffany has meetups, we have meetups, right? They get yourself around those people who think that way and really challenge you as like, oh yeah, this is real. This has actually happened. Like
mhm.
no one else I know right now is telling me that they made 35 grand off of selling a place, right? Just from like a month of work. I don't know how long that took you, but like I don't know anyone else that's like, oh yeah, I got 35 grand yesterday for a sale. Like pretty sweet. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, thank you for sharing the opportunity. I mean, and audience, I hope you guys got like, I mean, got some insights and find it valuable how you analyze this. And if there's topics you want us to touch, put it on the comment. And I do my
hmm
best to read those comments and to respond. I don't always respond in time, but I do respond. So thank you, Jeremy, for bringing us a real live case study. Um, so it was, you know, that's awesome. So thank
Yeah, my
you.
pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys join us next time with Investing with Keto. All right.